Money in football is completely out of control, as the world record transfer fee is shattered once again, with Kylian Mbappe completing a £400 million transfer from PSG to Real Madrid. He will earn £500,000 per week, working out at around £26 million per year. 24-year-old Kerry Smith from Leicester tweets, "It's f***ing disgusting that footballers are paid that much when they're NHS nurses working 10 times as hard getting nothing." Her friend Jodie comments, "Well said, hun." The tweet attracts 8 retweets and 14 likes. Meanwhile, Gary from Brighton writes, "Send Mbappe to an NHS ward for a night. He'd earn his money there." The tweet garners widespread attention, allowing it to end up on the timeline of Dave Whistler, the MP for Sunderland Central, his only political highlight being the time he was seen with an erection in his only House of Commons appearance. He was slapped. However, Dave sees the popularity of the tweet and has an idea. After a full week of preparation, Dave Whistler proposes to Parliament that the 731,000 NHS nurses have their salary increased to £100,000 per week. It's pointed out to Dave that this would cost the British taxpayer an extra £3.8 trillion per year. With around 35 million income taxpayers in the UK, for the plan to work, every taxpayer in the country would have to stump up an extra £108,571 per year. Dave is prepared though. He draws Parliament's attention to Gary from Brighton's tweet. The House of Commons begins to murmur. Rishi Sunak's interest has peaked. The tweet now has over 100,000 retweets, and with an election coming up, an extra 100,000 votes could make all the difference. A vote is called for the next week. The 573 MPs for England and Wales vote by a margin of 388 to 185 to raise nurses' wages to match those of footballers. A week of campaigning from the Yes Vote supporters has seen #PayOurNurses become the top trending topic online, even outdoing the news of Chelsea's first £1 billion player. The rival campaign from those opposed to the vote attracts little support. From June the 1st, 2024, nurses will be paid £100,000 per week. Dave Whistler succeeds Rishi Sunak as UK Prime Minister, with his newfound popularity stemming from his brilliant idea, leading to an emergency election. During his victory speech, he is again pictured with an erection. Police are called to several hospitals around the country, as the queues of those who want to enrol stretch as far as the eye can see. People are reminded that to qualify as a nurse, a degree must be obtained. More than 50% of the UK workforce resign from their jobs to enrol in healthcare courses at universities, leaving essentials like food, water, and electricity in limbo, not to mention further hiking tax rates. This does not worry the #PayOurNurses activists though, who are far more concerned with justice being served. A day of national celebration ensues across the land as the pay increase becomes official. Finally, nurses have got the #respect they deserve. Kerry Smith yet again takes to Twitter. "This will show those nasty footballers," she says in a completely different accent. "Anybody who speaks out to question the huge tax increase is derided as a traitor and told to leave the country if they don't like it." This is an option many choose to take, with thousands avoiding the tax hike by moving abroad. The first tax deductions to pay for the increased wages of nurses are made, an extra £4,792 each per month. With the average salary in the UK around £24,000 a year, this leaves many people actually earning minus amounts. There are mass walkouts across the country, with yet more people heading to the airports to start a new life abroad. Blue-haired Andrea of the London Vegan Club tweets a picture of the queues outside London Luton stating, "Bye traitors." The poverty suffered by the nation has seen football crowds drop rapidly, with very few people able to afford a ticket. Sky drops out of covering the Premier League, instead launching 4 new channels covering healthcare. Sky Wards provides a great deal of sponsorship to cover live operations and GP appointments. Some of the most exhilarating procedures, including brain surgery and heart transplants, have their times changed to 4 p.m. on a Sunday to maximise the potential audience. Children can be seen wearing replica uniforms with the names of their favourite healthcare workers on the back. Meanwhile, many Premier League football clubs go into administration. With football financing now at an all-time low, Erling Haaland puts in an official transfer request to Pep, stating that he sees his future away from Manchester City. The only people able to match his wage requirements are the NHS, leading Erling to undergo nursing studies at Cambridge. He lasts 3 weeks before dropping out. He's never seen again. Enzo Fernandez attempts to bring legal action against Chelsea to get himself out of his below minimum wage contract. Unfortunately, he cannot find a lawyer, as they've all gone bankrupt. Meanwhile, school children are seen handing out their lunches to Marcus Rashford. The population of the United Kingdom has shrunk by several million, with tax refugees heading all over the world. This reduction in the number of taxpayers means those who do remain are forced to pay even greater amounts. A small number of protests against the government break out, but are quickly controlled by the army and their new gold-plated rifles, having received a hefty donation from Great Ormond Street Hospice. Public transport is no more, with many bus drivers instead opting to be personal chauffeurs to healthcare staff. This leads to even fewer able to attend work, shooting up tax rates for the unlucky few who are still working in dead-end jobs such as pilots and bankers. All UK hospitals are booked out for the rest of the year, with sick children no longer able to get a bed, instead being replaced by rich families from all over the world who have travelled over in droves to take advantage of the newfound world-class facilities. Not to mention the on-site golf courses. The Ritz goes out of business, turning into a shelter for struck-off footballers. The first mega money move is made from hospital to hospital hospital. A young talented Belgian urologist, first Eden Hazard, completes a £500 million transfer from Brussels to Manchester. Fabrizio Romano breaks the news to the world, tweeting, "Here we go," next to a picture of her holding up her new uniform. The first ever Care on Door is announced, serving up a prestigious awards event to reward the most talented healthcare professionals across the globe, with the Global Health Squad of the Year providing an opportunity for different departments to cement their spot. The world's elite nurses pull up on their yachts and don their formal scrubs for the ceremony in Monaco. Wrexham win the Premier League, following the collapse of more than half of professional football clubs in Britain. Top scorer Victor Osimhen asks for a new contract, but is told, "If you want those kind of wages, join the NHS." Heavily backed by popular fanzines Stand Against Modern Key Workers, a new social media campaign begins stating footballers deserve nurses' wages, with their weekly front porch booing on Thursdays at 8 PM starting to pick up some momentum with the public, not to mention the aggressive thrashing of pots and pans. Sky Wards puts heavy pressure on the government to create new diseases, explaining that the public want to see the nurses test themselves at the highest level. Prime Minister Whistler initially refuses, but following sustained pressure from the public gives in and announces that the fans deserve to see their nurses fully test themselves. Scientists are instructed to create a new form of cancer. The United Kingdom is almost completely destroyed by deadly disease and illness. Pundits bemoan the lack of homegrown talent, with the foreign nurses attracted to the country by the inflated wages. From his deathbed, Roy Keane criticises the standard of healthcare, stating, "That's their job." He is executed. Many of the newfound nurses are sent on yearly trips to other countries to gain experience. The UK population has shrunk to less than 1 million. The Premier League is won by Accrington Stanley for the 5th year in a row, bankrolled by a group of wealthy cardiac nurses from the nearby wards. Support for key workers is waning. Once fan turned enemy, 30-year-old Kerry Smith tweets out, #PR footballers. Her friend Jodie comments, "Well said, hun." With too few UK taxpayers to compensate the ludicrous wages, Prime Minister Whistler announces an end to the controversial scheme and vows never to listen to the public ever again, notably without his signature erection.